Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Jennifer Miele, Chief Communications Officer and Managing Director of Evangelization of the Diocese of Greensburg.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB. I'm your host, Jennifer Miele. Very happy to be here today with the organizers of a car hop that's coming up to benefit Trinity Lutheran Church. That's August 8th from 12 to 5. I'm here with two of the volunteers for the car hop, Jim Stemler and his wife, Robin. Jim, Robin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Wonderful to talk to you. So, Jim, let's dive right in. Tell us about the car hop.
Well, we are very excited today to be able to talk about Trinity Lutheran Church's 20th annual car hop. I have been involved with it my wife and I have been involved for the past 12 years. This event was started 21 years ago and it went off every year with the exception of last year. But we are very excited about this year's car hop, bigger and better. We fill the streets of Latrobe, Weldon Street. We will get between 300 and 400 cars. There has been years where we've actually had to shut the streets down to turn away cars, but we don't want to have to do that. But every year we expand out through more streets. We have a great time that day. It's such a fellowship event for the community, even though we have some benefits that the event goes toward. But basically, Trinity Lutheran Church wants to show its fellowship to the community through this event. It's more than just the cars, coming to look at the cars. We get so many families that just come in and pull chairs up on the sidewalk and watch the cars go by. And we have different things that go on throughout the day that everyone's just so excited about.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it's just enormous, getting bigger and bigger. Do you remember it 20 years ago or close to the beginning?
Well, my wife and I came into it about 12 years ago when our children were just coming up through catechism. And the proceeds go toward the youth at Trinity Lutheran Church. 90% of the proceeds go toward the youth going to the National Youth Gathering every 3 years. We have two people that are on our committee that are the founders of the car hop, Rick McIntyre and his wife, Carol. They are still part of our committee to this day. And they're the ones that started when their children were coming up to benefit their children and the other youth at Trinity. And I kind of came into it, my wife and I, whenever our children were of age and coming in through junior high school. Now they're graduated and we just can't walk away from it. It's such an exciting day.
That's great. I'm sure your kids have fond memories of it too, though, right? I mean, what an evangelization, what an outreach program, huh?
Yes, they are still part of the car hop. My son will help park cars that day, and my daughter will be over scooping ice cream. And they look forward to this event too every year.
That sounds wonderful. So, Robin, what do you remember from all those years back? Do you remember your husband dragging you to a meeting about a car hop, and then all of a sudden, now you're helping to run it?
Yeah, I maybe went to one or two that he asked me to go to, and then it's like when he has the meetings, it's like you go and I'm like, no, I'll be there that day. You just tell me what to do. I kind of skip out of the meetings so lately, but yeah, I remember, and it's been long days. I actually got to go to a couple of the trips I went with my daughter that it has funded and stuff, and my son went a couple years ago, and they enjoy it. So I'm just there. I don't mind. I do whatever he needs me to do. I pick up stuff. He's there bright and early, not so much me, but I stop and pick up some things that are some food that we pick up that day to take. So lately he hasn't pushed me to go to the meetings, but I'm there whenever he needs.
That's a good partnership for sure. So Jim, for someone who's never been to the car hop, okay, they decide they want to go. They're going to drive up into downtown Latrobe and tell me what they're going to see.
Okay, well, first off, if you want to enter your car that day, whether or not it's a classic car or just your family car, or you have a dragster, you could go to Trinity Lutheran's website and their Facebook page and download an application. And our application's $5, and we have 15 classes of vehicles that we give trophies out for that day of the local dealerships and local businesses all sponsor these classes of vehicles. And once you pull in, you come up Main Street in Latrobe, you'll see our signs, and it directs you down Weldon Street. And from there, our car hop crew will park you. And then after that, you just enjoy the day of their food and fellowship. And my wife, Robin, as she said earlier, she runs the food tent that day. And we have excellent cooks at their church. And Robin will be talking about all the food that we're going to be having that day. But basically, you park your car and you can walk around and you vote for your favorite vehicles in their classes. At the end of the day, we tally the votes and those people get trophies. Everybody that pulls in gets a dash plaque to commemorate the day. We have T-shirt sales from all the local businesses that sponsor us. And one of the things I want to say is that we have not raised our prices in 10 years. We are not out to have high prices of our food. There is not one food item that we sell that's over $4. And that's been the price for the past 10 years. And we are just so happy that we can still put the proceeds to our benefits of, as I said before, 90% of our benefits, our proceeds go to our youth ministry. And then Trinity Lutheran Church started here a few years ago. It's an organization called Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. And we give 10% of those proceeds to that organization too.
So wonderful, because that's a really existing scenario in Western Pennsylvania. So that is excellent.
I think too, if you don't have a car in the car hop, Jim, I think, you need to tell people there is parking around the area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're in the middle of Latrobe, and if people want to come in, they get parking. Most places they can park at. Maybe we could talk about.
Yes, you can park in any of the outside parking lots in Latrobe and just basically walk a block to get to the church. It's not hard to miss. Also that day, we have a DJ that'll be playing all oldies music, and Jim Deglaw will be there, and he can play anybody's favorites. We do have something special that happens at 2:00. We invite all the drivers to come over to the DJ area, and our Pastor Schmidt will give the blessing of the drivers. And that's something that we always look forward to. And also that day, one of the things we pride ourselves on is we don't just have the cars from the people that bring their cars around the area. I contact some local dragsters, and they bring we have a few specialty cars that'll come in. We have Ed and Isabella Matsko. They're coming this year from Mount Pleasant, and they have one of the loudest drag cars that you will ever hear. And they brought it here like 3 years ago. And I don't think I've been around. And they'll start it up like every hour. And people, flock in to see, hear the sound of these dragsters. And then also we're very blessed to have blackout tinting this year from Latrobe. Josh Popenick, he is bringing his 2 cars. He's going to have a Lamborghini there and a Porsche, and he'll be starting them up. And a lot of people have never seen a Lamborghini. That's your day to see one. And also Dave Reed, he's a local drag driver that will drive out at Keystone Raceway. He's bringing his dragster, and all of them will start these vehicles up. we always have those specialty vehicles, and we've even had monster trucks come in. A lot of people don't get a chance to see these vehicles, and it's something when you can get up close to them and hear them.
You know, you're speaking like a experienced gearhead. Were you a gearhead before all this, or did you
Never
along the way?
Never. And I do not own a classic car or anything, but I like seeing them coming down the street. And it's a very moving day for all of us. And this event is rain or shine. And, you know, we always say that people don't like to bring their car out if there's a chance of rain. Well, there's been years when we've had downpours, and the people still come, and the people just say that they want to, you know, be part of Trinity Lutheran Church that day. And it's so important to be there to support us.
Well, I mean, you know, the food's still there, the cars are still there, so it shouldn't really matter, right? Tell us.
No, it does not.
But God has been with us.
Yes.
He really has. He has. There's been days or years we had it rained. It kind of held off till they were done with trophies and other things. It rained early in that morning that day. So for the most part, it's been very nice weather for us.
That sounds wonderful. Now, tell us about the 15 different classes. Is each class parked in the same area, or you just
No.
for the whole thing? Okay.
As they come in, now we get people that'll want to come down and they'll want to be beside their friends. And as long as they're beside each other and coming down the street to register, you know, that's fine. But other than that, they pull in, and we have 15 classes. We have antique class, a Corvette 1980 and older, a Ford class, a GM class 1980 and older, an import class, a Mopar class 1980 and older, a motorcycle class, a Mustang class, special interest, street rod, truck, Corvette 1981 and newer, GM 1981 and newer, Mopar 1981 and newer, and Mustangs 1981 and newer. We actually get some cars sometimes we've had a antique car that come from the early 1900s, and it's been amazing to see it.
Wow, that is amazing. And how many cars did you say you got last year?
We get between 300 and 400. Last year was a disappointment because of the pandemic. We had to cancel it last year. So, but that's why we're excited about doing it this year, back and doing it. And I have such a great crew of people that have been with me for years. We go to meetings, and if we have a problem, the people are on it to solve the problem. And it is just, all I ever get is yeses when I go around the room. And also during the day, what's really special to me is I started going around the Latrobe area here like a week ago and dropping off flyers for door prizes to give out that day. And every business I go to is just so happy to see and to be able to give to the event. 2 years ago, we gave $7,000 away in door prizes that day. Mostly out of the 300 cars that were there, over half the people got door prizes. And we're not talking just, you know, small door prizes. We have detail packages that are given away from Latrobe Auto Group. As I mentioned before, blackout tinning. Brinker Lapottage Funeral Home is just all in on this event.
That is wonderful. And we're going to talk more about the volunteers who helped put on this car hop. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome back to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB. I'm your host, Jennifer Miele. Happy to be here today with folks from Trinity Lutheran Church in Latrobe talking about their annual car hop, the 20th annual car hop that's scheduled for August 8th from 12 to 5 p.m. Jim Stemler and his wife, Robin, have done a great job explaining to us how fabulous this event is. But Jim, you were just starting to talk about the people on the committee, the volunteers. Why don't you brag about them and maybe even mention some names if you'd like, and just send them a big thank you.
Absolutely. One very special lady that's involved besides my wife is somebody that's been with me for 12 years. And I always say my partner in crime is Carolyn Crawl. Her and her husband just help out immensely. As I mentioned before, Rick McIntyre and Carol McIntyre, John and Janie Clark, Wendy Rivard, Sandy Rivard, our cooks in the kitchen, Kasha Leverage, Mary, Kelly Stanko, Ed Springle handles all our advertisement. Everybody has their own little niche, and everybody just does it in such a fabulous way.
That is wonderful. And you're lucky, when you're blessed, actually, when you have those kind of people who are, as you said, always out to solve problems and make this work. So when you show up, you can show up for the cars. But I think, Robin, you can also show up for some food. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, our food, like Jim said, we haven't raised the prices for a while. We haven't raised them, like you said, past 10 years. And they are pretty reasonable, but we have a lot of sponsors for all our food. So C. Harper will sponsor our sausage sandwich at $4 each.
And that comes from Bardini's Smokehouse.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry. Hillview Motors as a meatball sandwich is sponsoring it. It is at $4. Clark's Tree Service hot dog, and it will be made with homemade Stanko's products, sauerkraut, which is a big hit. Goodwill Hose Company and Brinker LaPottage will sponsor our pepperoni rolls made by our local Sugar Shack at $3. We have Latrobe Auto Group will be sponsoring Haluski secret recipe at $2 for a container of it.
Yes, you have to have the Haluski. It's a secret recipe, and that's one of the first things we sell out.
Dawn's Auto Service will sponsor the ice cream from Barclays Dairy King and Dairy. This Pepsi is sponsoring the beverages at $1 can, or we always have plenty of cold water. And Robin's Craft Nest is sponsoring the bottled water at $1.
Lots of good stuff in the lineup. That sounds amazing. And of course, Jim just helped sell out the Halushki even faster by telling everybody that it's so you better get there right on time. Otherwise, you might not get to it. But is all of this sort of out on the street, Jim? Like all the food and the vendors and stuff like that? Is that on the street?
Yes. Well, we are our own vendor with our cooks, and we have many tents that we will put up right on Weldon Street. So as you pull down, we have a tent that sells T-shirts. We have a tent that has a door prizes, and we have our large food tent that'll be in our little courtyard along the side. And then we have a tent for ice cream, but everybody just parks on the street and pulls their lawn chair out and has a good time.
For the seating area for food, you have a tent?
Yes, we have the John Graziano from Hartman Graziano. He gives us a huge tent, and we'll set, so people can go in there and dine and have a nice place to eat in the shade.
So this is August 8th from 12 to 5, the Trinity Lutheran Church Car Hop. It sounds like it's going to be wonderful. So if people are just hearing about this, where can they find more information, Jim?
Again, on Trinity Lutheran Church's website, Trinity Latrobe. We have a Facebook page. We not only invite you to go on there and download an application, but also invite you to our worship service that is 8:15 every Sunday morning on their Facebook page. We are, again, want to extend our fellowship to the community.
That is wonderful. So I want to go back to talking a little bit about the proceeds and what the proceeds benefit. And I heard you say first, youth ministry. And can you tell us a little bit about maybe the trips or some of the activities that sponsors?
Like, as I mentioned before, every 3 years, there's a large gathering, and it'll be in one city that the National Youth Gathering will go to. There's been years where my wife has went with my daughter to New Orleans. My son went to Detroit. The next year they're going to Minnesota, and it's a gathering of 30 to 40,000 youth that will go there and do community service in that city, hear Christian music, and hear inspirational speakers for that week. I know when my wife and daughter went, it was at the Superdome in New Orleans. And this is basically, the trip is an expensive trip. And this is why the event was started, to fund all the youth that wanted to go to that event. And it is, there is no cost for them to go on these trips. And what we do is we ask them to help the day of the car hop, and the youth will be under the tent serving the food, and we have them going around and putting covers on the meters and whatever it takes, and we get a good turnout for it.
Well, I mean, and this is really an investment in the future of your church, right? I mean, yes. This is what it is. Giving the kids the opportunity to worship in a group setting like that, and in such a cool setting like that. So that's fabulous. Though you did say that a portion of the proceeds go to grandparents raising grandchildren. Can you tell us about that?
Kathy Ferlin started this group at Trinity roughly about 3 years ago. And we realized that there's some children out there that don't have full-time parents, that their grandparents are helping raise them. And this is what some of the funds go to be able to fund the grandparents to be able to take some of their grandchildren on some local entertainment, to also support them in whatever need they need to help raise their grandchild.
So nice. And do you know how much you usually make on the event?
Yes, we, from the dealerships giving us sponsorship money, and we will pull in, it's hard to believe, in 5 hours, we will profit between $5,000 and $6,000.
Wow. That's great.
We are always in the black before we even start, because of the amount of money that the local dealerships, especially Latrobe Auto Group, will give us just and then all the other people that sponsor the food, and we turn around, and that's why we sell it at a very low price. We're selling the fellowship of the church that day.
But we have to be thankful for the people who have donated. They're having, like he said, the auto groups and all the people who donate for the food, because without them wouldn't be as big a success. So thank you to all of them.
And all of these ladies, Robin, they're cooking the food, ladies and men cooking the food.
Yes. They start like the day before prepping, sometimes a couple days before prepping the food, having it ready to go. They're there early in the morning, unfortunately earlier than me, but again, I stop and pick up, I think I will be again picking up the pepperoni rolls from Sugar Shack, like I said, and they are there early. They prepare, and everything will be homemade, separate. Well, like the sausage we get for Bardines, but they will cook it there at the church. So yes, everything is prepared right there.
During that day, we always have hourly announcements, and we have 5 go-to people that day, so that in all the car hop crew people will all be wearing red shirts, and the go-to people all wear the Clark's Tree Service bright lime green shirts. So if somebody has an issue that day, they all know who to go to. If there's a parking issue, you're going to this guy here that's wearing the lime green shirt. If there's an issue with the food tent or anything like that, you're going to Robin. And we try to make it very public that, we want to hear the concerns of people. And if they have an issue or a question, we're there to answer it for them and get everything straight.
And if you don't see somebody in one of those shirts, just ask anybody that's working one of the booths or around, and they can get a hold of one of the people in the yellow or lime green shirts
Yes.
and try to get the situation or whatever you need.
We all have walkie-talkies that day, and we're all in communication with each other to make it a smooth day. And it is always usually smooth. The drivers that come in there are first-class people. They are just so supportive, and they're very special to us.
That's wonderful. And do a lot of the businesses in town open up that day too?
No, it's on a Sunday, so the local businesses will not be there. But we do ask the people that give the large prizes, door prizes, to be there to give out the prize that day whenever their number is drawn. As I said before, Latrobe Auto Group was one of our large sponsors, and Amy Peer will be there. She's the owner. She'll have some of her new vehicles there too from Latrobe Auto Group. So it's they'll have their sales staff there, and as Blackout Tinning will be there with his sales staff to promote their business.
This sounds amazing. Just to recap one more time, Jim, tell us about what year this car hop is and what the date, the time, the location, and where they can find more information.
Okay. The date is August 8th from 12 noon to 5. But even though I say 12 o'clock, I will be there at 6 o'clock in the morning setting tents up. And I will have cars waiting in the parking lot already for because people like to get their certain spot. And that's okay with us. But it is from 12 to 5. We usually give trophies out around 4:30. The blessing of the drivers will be at 2 o'clock. If you can pre-register and send in your application with your $5. And again, if you pre-register, I don't know if I mentioned this before, if you pre-register, when you come in and get your packet, we give you a food coupon for $5 to go over and get your lunch. So again, we give back to the drivers.
Wonderful.
And the food will usually close up around 4 o'clock. So we have a good 4 hours of food sales. But it is a day that I can't wait to get here.
Jim Stemler and his wife, Robin, from the Trinity Lutheran Church in Latrobe, talking about the annual car hop. It is the 20th annual car hop. It's going to be fabulous. That's August 8th from 12 to 5. We very much appreciate both of you being on the show. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Make sure you check out their website and their Facebook page for all the information. I'm Jennifer Miele. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on WHJB.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.